When your distribution center needs a new rack system, buying is only the first step of the process. Proper installation at the start and continuing regular inspections are key for maintaining workplace safety and getting the best use out of your new rack. Poor installation can contribute to rack failure, and if not corrected during the installation process, is very difficult to fix. That's why following the manufacturer's guidelines for installation at the beginning of a rack's lifespan is so critical to its continuing safe use. The Load Application and Rack Configuration Drawings, LARC, and installation instructions that come with your rack system are the most important guidelines to reference in order to ensure the rack has been installed correctly and within RMI guidelines. During installation, ensure the system is plumb and square. A pallet rack column that is leaning or bowed beyond a certain point will have a significantly reduced capacity, making it at risk of collapse and therefore unsafe. Ensure that all beams are properly seated, locking devices are engaged, and hardware is tightened. Finally, it's important to ensure that all components are installed and properly attached. Even small components may play an important role in stabilizing your rack system. The final step to the installation is the placement of the load plaque, which helps to document that the installation matches the LARC drawings. It is good practice to inspect each row of the rack after it is installed, using a standardized checklist. Given that each rack configuration and use case is different, it is up to the warehouse management team to decide on the best schedule and frequency for regular rack inspections. The minimum recommended frequency of rack inspections is once a year. Inspection is not just one person's job. It is the responsibility of everyone working in the warehouse on a daily basis. Factors that should influence your inspection frequency include traffic volume. End aisles and transfer aisles have more traffic, so they are more prone to damage. Rack durability. Light-duty racks are more likely to sustain damage than heavy-duty ones. And history of damage. Areas that have been damaged in the past are more likely to be damaged again. Inspection should be conducted after any incident with the potential to damage the rack, such as a collision or a seismic event. And inspection should be conducted by an inspector working under the guidance of a qualified rack system engineer. It can be beneficial to have an external professional conduct the inspection, as they are more likely to notice damage that employees may overlook. The following are some key steps to performing a thorough rack inspection. Validate that the system is configured the same as shown on the load plaques and LARC drawings. Check that all components are in place and the rack is plumb and square in all directions. Check that all hardware and anchors are tight and that all load beam locks are engaged. If the system has been reconfigured without updating the load application drawing, check with the rack engineer to ensure that the configuration is still code compliant and create updated load plaques and LARC drawings. Based on guidance from the rack system engineer, any structural damage to the rack components should be immediately tagged. If the damage has created a safety concern, the product on the rack should immediately be unloaded under the direction of a rack engineer until repairs are made. Since rack systems are designed on the assumption that all components are intact, it is very difficult to determine how specific damage may weaken the structure without an engineering evaluation. Although some components may seem small and unimportant, damage to any components of the rack system means its capacity will be reduced. The safest approach, if in doubt, is unload and repair. There is no accommodation in the rack design codes for damage. The sooner damage is identified, the sooner the rack can be repaired and returned to safe working order. A rack system that has been correctly installed, regularly inspected for damage, and damage properly repaired will provide years and years of trouble-free service. Members of the Rack Manufacturers Institute are the industry's leading supplier of industrial steel storage racks and related structural systems. For more information about how to properly install and inspect your new rack, visit RMI's Rack Safety blog at rmiracksafety.org.